Two men, 30 years apart, the same slow walk out of Formula One. Adelaide, October 1986. Keke Rosberg steps out of a McLaren for the last time. He is 37 years old. He has a contract offer to keep racing next season. He turns it down. Abu Dhabi, November 2016. Nico Rosberg steps out of a Mercedes for the last time. He is 31 years old. He has the number one already prepared for his car next season. He turns it down. After December 2, 2016, everyone in the paddock asked why Nico Rosberg walked away. That was the wrong question. The right question is what taught him to know when to walk away. The answer to that question has been sitting in front of us for 30 years, in the shape of 6 small clues. A pole position at Monaco that nobody quite believed. A short answer a father gave in a press interview. A question asked between father and son in the middle of a championship season. Each clue on its own is easy to miss. Only when you place all 6 side by side does one thing become clear. Keke Rosberg never taught his son how to become a champion. He taught him something much harder to learn. At his retirement press conference in Vienna, Nico said one sentence: "I achieved the same as my father." Most people heard those words as being about the championship. By the end of this video, you may hear them differently. Not with words, with his life. Adelaide, October 26, 1986. The Australian Grand Prix, the final race of the Formula One season, and the final race of Keke Rosberg's career. He is driving a McLaren in the red and white of Marlborough. Lap 63. He is running in the top positions. Then his right rear tire fails. The car slides toward the barriers. He guides it off the track. He climbs out. He removes his helmet, and he walks away. There is no drama in his face, no frustration. He has known for months this would be his last race. Earlier that season, McLaren had offered him a contract to continue into 1987. He had turned it down. He was 37 years old. He was still fast. He was still wanted. He simply decided he was finished. Now, on the other side of the world, in an apartment in Monaco, a boy named Nico is 1 year old. His father has just walked out of Formula One for good. Nico will never see his father race. Not in a highlight reel that stays with him. Not as something he grew up watching. His father will simply be a man in Monaco. A man who used to do something. A man who chose to stop while there was still something left. For the rest of his childhood, Nico will absorb one lesson from his father without a single conversation about it. That Formula One is something you walk out of. Not something that consumes you until it takes everything, but something you leave, cleanly, when you decide you have had enough. This is the first clue, and here is the lesson hidden inside it. Every child learns what enough means from someone. Nico Rosberg learned it from a man who had already stopped. 6 years later, on a small karting track just up the coast from Monaco, in a town called Cap d'Ail, a boy is climbing into a kart for the first time. He is 6 years old. His father drives him to the session, and then his father does something that most racing fathers in that generation would never do. He steps back. Keke Rosberg does not walk over to the kart. He does not adjust the mirrors. He does not give last-minute advice. He stands about 30 meters away, hands in his pockets, and watches. When the session ends, he does not correct his son's lines. He does not explain what went wrong at which corner. He simply takes his son home. This was a champion who knew everything about going fast. He had won a world title. He had raced against Prost, Piquet, Lauda, Senna. He had every possible piece of knowledge to transfer to his son. He chose not to. In the Formula One paddock at that time, other racing families were doing the opposite. Damon Hill was growing up close to the sport, in the shadow of his father Graham. Jacques Villeneuve was carrying the memory of his father Gilles into every kart session. The tradition was to bring the son into the world early, to pass on the name, to pass on the trade. The Rosberg family stood outside that tradition. Nobody remarked on it at the time, because there was no pattern yet to compare it against. Just one father making one choice. This is the second clue, and here is the lesson hidden inside it. The hardest lesson a champion can teach is not how to win, it is how to let his son fail alone. 23 years later, on the streets of the same city, Nico Rosberg is fighting for pole position at the Monaco Grand Prix. Saturday afternoon, May 24, 2014. Qualifying. Session 3, the final minutes. Nico is provisionally on pole. Lewis Hamilton is on a lap that could beat him. In the first sector, Hamilton is 0.3 of a second faster. Then Nico enters Mirabeau. He runs wide. He goes straight into the escape road. Yellow flags come out across the sector. Hamilton has to lift off the throttle. The lap is destroyed. Nico's pole position is safe. On the team radio, Hamilton says 3 words. "Are you serious?" The stewards investigate for almost 2 hours. Their conclusion is that there is not enough evidence to prove the incident was deliberate. Nico keeps the pole. But the real clue of that weekend is not in the escape road. It is in an interview a few hours later. When German journalists ask Keke Rosberg if he is proud of his son's pole position at Monaco, Keke does not smile. He does not defend his son. He does not attack Hamilton. He simply says one line: Nico did what he had to do. This is the father of a driver who has just taken pole position at the most prestigious race in the sport. And he is not proud. He is not defensive. He sounds resigned. At the time, the sentence was read as diplomacy. After December 2, 2016, it sounds different, because Keke was not talking about the pole. He was recognizing something in his son that he had recognized in himself decades earlier. A line his son had just crossed for the first time. This is the third clue. And here is the lesson hidden inside it. Every champion eventually finds the line between who they are and who they must become. Nobody crosses that line and comes back unchanged. 2 years later, on a Sunday afternoon in Spain, the Rosberg name becomes the center of the biggest story in Formula One. Barcelona, May 15, 2016. Lap 1, Turn 3. Nico is leading. Lewis Hamilton dives down the inside. Nico closes the door. The 2 Mercedes cars touch at nearly 270 kilometers per hour. Both slide off the track into the gravel. Both are out of the race in the first 60 seconds. On the pit wall, Toto Wolff drops his head into his hands. On the team radio, one sentence comes through: no, 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 no. But the real story of the 2016 season is not in that crash. It is in what Nico had done to himself in the 7 months leading up to it. After 7 races, he was leading Hamilton by 43 points. To get there, he had rebuilt his entire life. He worked with a sleep specialist to optimize his rest. He worked with a nutritionist on every calorie. He kept a mental performance coach on permanent call. He practiced meditation. He trained his reaction times like an athlete preparing for surgery. He turned himself into a precision instrument, not to defeat Lewis Hamilton, to survive being on the same team as Lewis Hamilton. And there is one detail from that season that almost nobody noticed. When Nico was asked what advice his father gave him during the championship fight, Nico said his father did not give advice. His father asked one question: "Are you enjoying it?" Keke was not asking about happiness, he was asking about the cost. Because he had once turned himself into something he did not recognize, chasing the 1982 title, and he knew exactly what that looked like on his son's face. This is the 4th clue, and here is the lesson hidden inside it. Perfection always sends a bill. The only question is when you decide to stop paying. 6 months later, on the other side of the world, Nico Rosberg drives the most controlled race of his life. Yas Marina Circuit, November 27, 2016. The final race of the season. To become world champion, Nico needs to finish 3rd or higher. Anything less, and Lewis Hamilton takes the title. Hamilton starts on pole. But from the opening laps, Hamilton does something unusual. He slows down, deliberately. He is trying to back Nico into the drivers behind. If Vettel or Verstappen can pass Nico into 4th place, Hamilton wins the championship. On the Mercedes pit wall, Paddy Lowe presses the radio button. "Lewis, we need you to pick up the pace." This is an instruction. Hamilton does not respond. Behind Nico, Vettel closes to within 7 seconds. Verstappen is on fresher tires, cutting the gap every lap. The undercut window opens. On the radio, Nico's engineer Tony Ross says one line: "Everything you need to do, do it." Nico does not try to overtake Hamilton. He holds station. He defends every corner for the final 20 laps of his career. Lap 54. The checkered flag. Nico crosses the line second. World champion. In Parc Fermé, Nico removes his helmet. He does not celebrate. He sits down on the concrete next to his car. He looks exhausted in a way that goes beyond one race. Cut to Monaco. Keke is watching the race on television. The cameras catch him. His eyes are red. But this is not the crying of a proud father. Because in that moment, only one person on the planet knew exactly what Nico was feeling. 30 years earlier, his father had held a world title in his hands. And in his head, there had been only one thought. Not victory, not records, just one question. What is left to prove? This is the fifth clue. And here is the lesson hidden inside it. The hardest victory is surviving your own ambition. Keke had survived his. He was watching his son survive the same one. 5 days later, in a hotel conference room in Vienna, Nico Rosberg walks onto a small stage. December 2, 2016. He does not read from prepared notes. He speaks for 4 minutes. He thanks his team. He thanks his family. He says the words that break the paddock. "I am retiring." The room does not fully understand what it has just heard. Toto Wolff finds out over the phone during dinner. Lewis Hamilton says later he never saw it coming. Mercedes has no replacement driver. The reigning world champion has just walked away 5 days after his greatest race. The next morning, the journalists start writing. And as they write, something strange happens. The story does not stay about Vienna. It keeps drifting backward, to Abu Dhabi, to Barcelona, to Mirabeau, to a karting track at Cap d'El, and finally to Adelaide, 1986. Because Vienna is only the sixth clue, and a sixth clue only means something when you count backwards from it. Adelaide taught Nico that greatness ends by choice. Cap d'El taught Nico that success is not inherited. Mirabeau showed Nico the cost of becoming someone else. Barcelona showed Nico the bill for perfection. Abu Dhabi showed Nico that the hardest fight is with himself. And Vienna is where Nico applied all of it. Not as a series of decisions, as one decision. The same decision his father had made 30 years earlier, and had lived by every day since. Keke Rosberg never warned us about a retirement. He warned us about a way of living. That there is something harder than becoming a champion. It is knowing when you already are one, and having the courage to walk away before you become something else. He taught his son that lesson without ever giving a speech. He taught it by living it, 30 years, in plain sight. The world saw it too. We were just watching Lewis Hamilton,